Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following confession that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to us by one of our dear brother, and the message that our brother sent to us, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story as anonymous? To you, Brother Nashi, and the family across South Africa, I say, how are you? Keep my name as anonymous. I am someone that does not consider himself to be having money, even though those that do not know me, when they see me, they see money written all over my face, but it is not who I am. I don't consider myself to be wealthy. Anyone who do Ukuthwala, I really do not think that they benefit our South African economy. Those that do not understand, if it sounds complicated to you, let me break it down for you. When you do Ukuthwala, you can't uplift your community. You can be having a lot of workers that are working for you, but those people, it's like you are just putting them in a prison. A person that works for someone that did Ukuthwala, you won't be able to achieve anything really in your life. If you are being employed by someone like me, you might be sending your kids to a private school, but then you realize that your kids, they are not even able to achieve anything in their education as to compared to other kids that are even going to a government school. If you ask yourself, why is it that your kids are not even performing at all? So it is because the money that you are using, it is ritual money. So you can't do anything really with money that has been created by Tokoloshes. That money is only given to someone who is later going to be sacrificed. So if you are not sacrificed, then your kids that you are sending to school using that salary of yours, they will be sacrificed. You will start to see that your kids, they don't listen. They'll end up doing drugs, teenage pregnancies. So Ukuthwala, really, it does not help society. You will be going around looking as if you are someone that is wealthy, but you will be destroying those that are around you. You might be a regular feature in the VIP sections of Sandton most exclusive clubs. When people see you driving even in a convoy, they'll think that this one, it smells real money, but they won't know that all of it is a lie. I want you to take a look into the foundation of my life. You see, I live in a house that was built on top of my wife's ashes. She was not my real wife, but I had to do a ceremony just before she died. I went to the hospital where I was keeping her. My wife, she passed away in a private hospital at Med Clinic. That was where she passed away. And as for my wife, I had to put her in a private hospital because I wanted to be able to do something to her. And in a government hospital, there are a lot of strict rules. But when you have money, when you put someone in a private hospital, they'll be having their own small room. So there was something that I was supposed to drop there. I was scared to put her in a government hospital, knowing that someone will be able to see me, and I did not want someone else to die, because in a government hospital, because of space, they are always even rotating the patients, moving them from one ward to another. So I will tell you how I sacrificed my girlfriend. So this mansion that I'm staying in, there is some ashes that I took after they had cremated my girlfriend, and it all started with a girl that I was dating. She was working at Ackermans, and I loved her, and she loved me more than she loved her own soul, literally. Back in 2017, I was someone that was just trying. I was really trying. I was that guy who would spend his last 20 rand on a haircut instead of bread, because I was a gold digger. Yes, I was dating rich women, but these women, I later realized that they were not doing anything for me. They were just using me. I was sharing a back room with one of my cousin. I had my girlfriend, whom I'll call Lerato, not her real name. Man, she was beautiful. She had that natural glow. She was working at Ackermans at the local mall. She was the one who kept me alive. Even dating these old magogos, I was doing it for him so that when they give me money, I would give it to him. She did not know that this was the type of a hustle that I did. And this was the reason as to why I always looked smart at all the times, because in order for you to be able to get these old ladies that have retired, that have a little bit of money, you have to look fresh and sharp at all the time. So you don't have to look like a gold digger, but in your mind, you know that all that you want from that woman is her money. Me and Lerato, we ended up staying together, and each and every time that she got paid, she would bring plastic bags with groceries, roast chicken, and she never complained about me being unemployed. She would look at me and say, baby, do not worry. One day God is going to see your hustle and God is going to give you a big break. I was tired of waiting for God. I was looking at the guys on Instagram and I saw some guys, those ones that you call blessers, who were taking girls to Dubai. I started hating my life. I started hating Lerato's poverty positivity. That is a word that I coined when I was still with Lerato. Poverty positivity is when someone is positive in their poverty. They become so relaxed. They think that being poor is something that is nice. I met a man whom I'll call Bra Soli at a local car wash. Soli was driving a vintage Mac and always had money on him. So me and Soli, we knew each other for a long time because I had once dated this other woman who was a bit wealthy. They ended up doing some businesses with Bra Soli, but I was not getting any money at all from that woman. It was just me driving her cars and sometimes staying at her mansion. So Brasoli told me that he knew that I had the hunger to become rich, but I was fighting with my bare hands against people who were using spirits. He asked me if I wanted, mind you, I'll change the location and just say Tembisa. He said, do you want to stay in Tembisa forever, or do you want to have your own house? Do you want the keys to Sandton? He gave me an address, but he ended up accompanying me to a village in Limpopo. He told me to bring 10,000. The things that I had to do for that 10,000, it is something that cannot be said on the air, because I ended up sleeping with a friend of this other sugar mom that I was dating. I was her Ben 10 and she had a gay friend who was around 62, I think. So this man, he had told my girlfriend, the sugar mama that I was dating, that he found me to be attractive. I remembered that guy because he also had loads and loads of money. I went to him. I went straight to his office and I asked for a meeting with him. I went into his office. I told him that I did not condone being a homosexual person, but in that moment I needed cash. And he said, oh, so you want money from me, from a gay man? And I said, yes. And he said, what are you going to give me in return? And I said, I will give you the opportunity to break my virginity. I was a hustler, a gold digger. A gold digger does not care. That is the difference between someone who is a gold digger and someone that is not. I was a gold digger, like from birth. I will do anything just to get money from a woman. But in this case, there was no woman that could give me 10,000 rands on the spot. No, never. A woman will never give you so much amount. So I then told that guy that I needed 10,000. He said 10,000 is a lot, man. How about I only give you 7? I said make it 8. And we were struggling with each other until he said, okay, 8 is fine. And then he slept with me that night. Yo, guys, it was very sore back then and it was hurting me. I was sleeping throughout the night. Even when Lerato was asking me if I was okay, I pretended that I was having a running stomach. and I had stress because I did not have the 10,000 that was needed. And then I tried Lerato. I told her that I had a massive construction tender, but I needed a small security deposit. This poor girl, she took out a capfin loan against her salary, and then she gave me the money with a smile, thinking that she was investing in our future and the money was cool. We drove up to Limpopo, and when we arrived there, that was when we got to the house where we were going to do these rituals. To my surprise, I had this idea of Venda, of going deep into the forest, meeting that traditional healer in a very scary way. But no, this Sangoma did not look like the ones that you see on TV. He was wearing a suit and he just looked like any businessman. He took us into a room, and when we got into that room, he looked at me and he said that, I see that there is one that you must sacrifice that is close to your heart. I thought that maybe it was my mom. He told me that it was Lerato. This he told me when Brasoli was there. He looked at me and he said, the Tokoloshe that I will give you, it is a king of Tokoloshes. He will bring you contracts. He will make people sign papers that they do not want to sign. He told me that amongst the Tokoloshes that he had created at that time, this king of Tokoloshes that he had was the one that he would give to those that were already wealthy, those that wanted to become much more powerful. But he was going to give it to me because he had seen that I really did not have any money and I was very poor. And I was supposed to sacrifice Lerato. I wanted to walk out. I wanted to run back to Lerato. I did not want to sacrifice a girl that had even borrowed money so that she can pay me. But I thought about the shack in Tembisa, and I thought about everything that was happening. Then I looked at the Sangoma and I nodded. We went back to Joburg. Within a month, Lerato started changing. She lost her appetite. She started losing her hair. She would wake up in the middle of the night screaming that there was something that was sitting on her chest. I would tell her that she was just dreaming, whilst I knew exactly what was happening. I could see that in our room there was this creature that would come, a Tokoloshe. This Tokoloshe, it is very short, it is hairy, and it has red eyes. And this Tokoloshe was the one that was sucking her blood. She died. It was on a Tuesday morning. The last thing that she said to me was, I'm glad you got that contract, babe. At least you're going to be okay. This was after I had taken her to the private hospital because now I had money. So we had to cremate him, and I convinced her family for the cremation. This has been done before in that family, but one of her sister wanted a traditional burial. But then the Tokoloshe, do you know that some of you might have dreams about your ancestors, thinking that it is your ancestor, but it will be a Tokoloshe that has been sent by your enemy. The Tokoloshe told me that it had power. All that was needed was for me to give it my semen and drink, and after it would have drunk my semen, it will be able to go to Lerato's sister and she will dream about the Tokoloshe. So I had to play with my manhood until there was semen, and then it came and it drank my semen, and then that night it went into Lerato's sister's dreams, and then it pretended as if this was Lerato, who said to her sister, I do not want a traditional burial. I want you to tell my parents that I want to be cremated. And as for my ashes, some of the ashes you keep them, and some of the ashes you are going to give to my grieving boyfriend. Brother, I was so excited when I was told that they were going to cremate my girlfriend, and her spirit had suggested that I was supposed to be given some of the ashes. I said, you do not know what you are going to be losing. You will lose the soul of your daughter. In 2019, I broke ground on my mansion in an elite estate. So I had everyone, my brother, those people that know how to do their stuff. They were even sitting with me, and I did not even imagine myself one day having these guys the white guys that were architects as well as engineers that were in front of me. I was telling them how my house was supposed to look. They were even showing me some of the images that they had on their laptops, and they were treating me as if I was the king, I was the boss. And then I selected one of the mansion that they showed me in the pictures, and I said, this is what I want. So the night before they poured the foundation for the master bedroom, I went to the site and I had the ashes of Lerato. I stood in the center of what would become my bedroom. I poured those ashes into a hole that I had dug. I dug maybe knee deep, and then I poured those ashes, and then I covered that hole. And then after I had done that, I whispered the words that the Sangoma had told me to say when I was doing this. Lerato, I made you to become my wife when you were still alive, because when she was in the hospital, I did a ritual, a secret ritual, and I said, Lerato, please marry me. And she said, I'm sick, babe. And I said, marry me. So we got married, not on paper, but in the spirit. She made me to wear a ring, and I also had a ring on her finger that I put there. So she was my wife in the spirit when she died. And I said, Lerato, here I have placed your ashes, and I want you to stay here, stay under me. You are my wife, and I want you to bless me to become rich. And the next morning, I started getting a lot of contracts. At only 32, I was making so much money. So in my house is a graveyard. And by 2021, my life was a movie, moved into that mansion, and everything is just beautiful. So the Tokoloshe, it lives underneath the bed. There are times when I hear it. I usually hear the Tokoloshe when it wants blood, because I have to keep on feeding this Tokoloshe. Just like when your battery on your phone is at 5%, you do not want it to get at 0, right? That is what I do. I have to keep on giving it blood. So I then turned to Tinder, and that is like a shopping mall for me. I don't just look for any girl. I look for those ones that want soft life, those ones that do not want to hustle, those ones that just want a blesser, those that want money. So once they see me, they think that they have hit the jackpot, they have met the man of their dreams. But brother, I have a Tokoloshe that survives on eating the wombs of these women that I bring back to my mansion. I give them everything nice, the sex is nice, the money is nice. Then I go and I sleep with them. As they lie on my bed, they are literally sleeping on top of Lerato's grave, and she is angry at them. And within a very short period of time, these women, they will die. The Sangoma in Venda calls it an expiry date. There was a girl from Pretoria. She was an influencer. And when I met her, she was full of life. After 6 months of staying with me, she started getting thin. She got cancer. Then she died exactly 360 days after I slept with her on my bed. There was a law student from Vets. She was someone that was nice, also died within a year, and she had heart failure. There are a lot, my brother, that I have slept with. So this is my own confession. Living with the Tokoloshe is not an easy thing, because it demands a lot from me. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. He's saying that those women, those that he takes to his house, usually they die after a year from the first time that they would have slept with him in his bed. If you have any confession that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to bring that confession to our inbox. I'll be back with another episode.